In your local store, you are finding toilet paper shortages right next to large supplies of water and think people's priorities may be a little messed up. You might be a prepper. If you have printed maps of all the local and natural water supplies in your area, you might be a prepper. If you watch videos of people forging tools in case you may need those skills later in a SHTF situation, you might be a prepper. If you have ever looked in the back of your toilet and thought to yourself, well, if I have to, you might be a prepper. If you know how to or are learning how to brew your own adult beverages, you might be a prepper. If you consider your water heater to be an emergency water supply tank, you might be a prepper. If you live in a place or intend to move to a place that looks a lot like this, you might be a prepper. If you have a room or closet in your house that looks like you've raided a military supply cache, you might be a prepper. If to you this looks like emergency indoor lighting in a grid down situation, you might be a prepper. If your reason for stockpiling food and water looks a lot like this, you might be a prepper. If to you this looks like a good place to hide self-defense tools, you might be a prepper. If the reason you want to hide self-defense tools looks a lot like this, you might be a prepper. If you've ever come across someone's trash and thought how you could use that in a survival situation, you might be a prepper. If you often reference the book of Revelation when telling people why they should prep, you might be a prepper. If you experiment with alternate ways of preserving meat, you might be a prepper. Last but not least, if you feel the same as the statement on this shirt, you might be a prepper.
Even though that I don't really call myself a prepper, I do prepare. There's a lot of stuff out there that, including those very few clips of things, I do and think about on my own. And I've been doing and thinking about this for over 20 years. I at one time, for 10 years straight, I was basically a homeless guy. I lived out either my backpack or my van, and I went around the whole country, pretty much everywhere I wanted to go in the country. And so there was a lot of things and a lot of stuff through my years that I have learned, living very minimal. You know, basically where when it comes down to money scenarios, where I could live off a dollar a day, $1 a day. Think about that, y'all. Can you, for a long period of time, only live off of $1 a day? Could you do it? If you had no electricity, or you were not on the power grid, put it that way, could you do it for a long period of time? When it comes down to food, how long can you go on the most basic and most minimal means of food and water? How long could you do it? Do you have the cunning, the smarts, the ingenuity, the inventiveness to survive off of whatever you can get, instead of, if something breaks, you go out and buy a new one? So that's a big deal right there. Me personally, I tend to try to repair almost everything I have, or I make my own stuff. I do not like going to the store and buying new stuff. I really hate doing that. If there is a way that I can repair or modify or make my own stuff, that's what I do. And I've been doing that for a long time. In a lot of ways, the way I live, I'm I'm kind of ahead of the curve when it comes down to shit hitting the fan. A lot of people that I know and I have met, if it was comes down to where they have to live off the most minimal means, they wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't know how to do it, and they wouldn't know how to survive and how to thrive. Because there's a difference between surviving and thriving. And I've been doing it for a long time on a conscious and on my own terms. I wasn't forced into it, because that's a difference too. If you're doing it because you want to and you're doing it on your terms, that's difference between being forced into it. Now, if I was to be forced into it, it wouldn't be that much of a change for me. Because quite honestly, man, I've been kind of living like I was being forced into it for many years. So, you know, the reason why I make a lot of these videos is really to inform and also to warn people. There's a lot of stuff on my videos that I have downloaded all the way back. Even though I do a lot of stuff on the radio, Skipwise and DX type of stuff when it comes down to the radio, I also do other stuff. My playlists are full of stuff that I personally am interested in. So I think more along the lines, if I'm interested in it, there's other people are probably interested into it too. So there's a lot of stuff that I've put on my playlists that I have downloaded from other content creators, and then also stuff that I have put up. So for all my subscribers out there and anybody else that's wandered onto my channel, check out all my videos. I mean, go way back. Don't just do the new stuff. I mean, if you just becoming a subscriber or you just came came across my channel, don't just look at the most recent stuff. Look at all the way back. I mean, this particular channel is not that old, but there's a lot of stuff all the way back that I have put on there on different levels. Now, I understand not everybody's into CB radio. So, that may not be interested, that a lot of people may not be interested in that. That's fine. But I also do other stuff. Because I'm interested in a lot of things, like for instance, blacksmithing, bladesmithing. I want to keep that trade alive, because blacksmithing is what built this country. Everybody needed a blacksmith. When people came into this country or came onto this land, everybody needed a blacksmith. I had some people argue that the timber company and the railroad company is the ones that really built this country. Well, they all needed blacksmiths. They needed saws for the timber company. They needed railway, railroad, railroad spikes, railway tracks, and all that stuff. All that stuff needed to be made by a blacksmith. I mean, even down to like just door hinges and whatever else. Everybody needed a blacksmith. This is a very important trade, and I myself want to keep that alive. And that's why I enjoy doing it too, because I like making my own stuff. And I like making stuff that's going to last forever. I get so sick and tired of it's like my knives. I get so sick and tired of that cookie cutter crap Chinese shit that you buy at the store. When you buy it, within a few months, it's either broke or does, whatever. It just does not last. And then they make it so damn cheap, you just go out and buy another one. That to me is crap. That is them ensuring their revenue to continue, because they don't make it good enough to last forever. Because if they made it good enough to last forever, they wouldn't make any more money once they sold everybody one. That's on everything out there, not just on knives, but that's on everything. They make it so crappy and shitty that and such a low cost. If it breaks or it's not useful any longer, just go buy another one. That's how they ensure their revenue to continue. Me, I don't like that. I think that is crap. I miss the days, even though I'm only 46 years old. I'm gonna tell you, I didn't live back in the day when there was cowboys and Indians running around and all that stuff. I didn't do. I wasn't there. But back then, when people made stuff, they didn't have the opportunity and the money to just go out and buy new stuff. So they bought something, or they got something, or they made something that was to last them for their entire lifetime. That's important to me. This is the 1122 Wingnut Radio, back out.